for the books. And if you look behind me, you'll see all of them displayed so beautifully. Now, she had this one specifically brought in for you, Kwame. So there's a note, but it's my note. I'm keeping it. So this one is for you. Jerry Hutchinson's Case Histories. It has your name on it, but I'll read it first. So let me hold on to it. And then when I'm done, Kwame, I will let you have it. Of course, a lawyer wants to be the one to read after. So thank you. Thank you, Yasmin. We are so grateful. We are so grateful for our books. Let's come to our topics for today. So demonstrators urge president to halt sale of SNIT hotels. Hands off our hotels demo. You remember that demo on Tuesday. There's one on Napo. Napo is the preferred running mate presidential candidate. So says the National Intelligence Bureau. Fight against illegal mining. Beat up soldiers attempting to stop you from mining. Amenfi East MPPPC to illegal miners. Lands and Mining Watch Ghana calls for clarification of Adamus Mining Company cases. It's an offshoot, of the main issue of this fight against illegal mining. Then there's the one on the elderly woman who was allegedly dumped in a bush at Gomwa Ojobi. So issues have been clearly spelled out for us this evening. Quite a number of them we will try, to beat time once more so we can deal with all of these issues. All of them are topical, all of them are very important for national development. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you searching for the perfect venue to host your next event? Look no further than Mirror's Event Plus. Discover the epitome of sophistication with our Skybox Event Center. This indoor marvel offers spacious hall area accommodating up to 500 esteemed guests. This beautifully designed space can be tailored to suit various event types, from weddings and corporate gatherings to cultural celebrations and more. We give you a kitchen space where your culinary creativity takes center stage, from gourmet feast to delectable treats. Our kitchen is the heart of flavor and delight. Our luxurious washrooms ensure comfort and convenience for all attendees, as well as maintaining the elegance of a special day. Our breathtaking waiting area is designed to make a lasting impression, while our top-of-the-range changing rooms are befitting of the VIPs of your event. Experience nature's charm at Tichiwa's grounds. Host an unforgettable outdoor event at the spacious and beautiful Tichiwa grounds, featuring a large lawn or terrace area capable of accommodating up to 700 cherished guests. Our changing rooms also provide privacy and ease for your special guests. Call us now on 030-341-6266 or 053-029-6067. Mirror's Event Plus, where celebrations come to life.
Right, welcome back to the show. We have been enjoying this evening. I'll start from here, just in the same order as the order in which we will read the book, right? So I'll start with you. It's great to see you.
Yes.
Please add how eager you are to read the book.
I'm really but Kwame, with your permission. My Katanga brother.
Of course, also Diko Joyangson. You're also very eager to read.
Yes, and I'm not going to ask Kwame permission. And you know me, I like to really absorb things, so I will read it twice. When I'm done, Fifi is also very interested in these books. So it will be some time before it comes from my house back to yours.
Perhaps not in your lifetime, but you know, come here, also welcome.
The Bluetooth device has been unsuccessful. So
We haven't connected to your heart
but
yet.
I'll read it. I'll read it.
No, it's not why you read it. Yeah, exactly.
Eventually.
When you
I'm
have
sure
the
it'll take me
opportunity.
maybe 5 years to read it.
One day. It's great to have you all back, gentlemen.
Yeah,
always a delight. Where do we start from? Let's start from Tuesday morning. I actually went for the demonstration, the Hands Off Our Hotels demo, where demonstrators urged the president to halt the sale of the Smith, hotels. I was there, the turnout was amazing, I have to say. People from, everywhere. Political, the political players, CSOs, individuals, and I was saying, because I captured a bit of it for my show on Tuesday, I was saying, on it that I was amazed at the number of very old people that showed up. There were quite a number of really old people, and I was literally chasing them with my camera. Some of them wouldn't speak, some of them would speak but off camera. But I was really impressed that this one sort of brought them all, onto the streets. What do you make of this demonstration?
Let me
and the issues.
Let me wish your viewers a good evening, a lovely evening. To borrow from you, a lovely evening. Always a pleasure to be in the company of Diko Joyangson. And my Katanga brother, whose book I'm going to read before he reads. Hopefully we can have a lovely discussion.
Absolutely.
So Tuesday's demonstration, I'm asking the president to
take his hands off our hotels.
Why the president's hands are on the hotels, or is the hands of the agric minister?
His cabinet minister, he should say.
So on the face of it, it looks like some hotels owned by all the people of Ghana are being sold on the face of it. But beyond that, for me, what really is an issue is a fundamental breakdown of the ethics, values and principles of leadership. And for me, that was what the demonstration was all about. And I'm sure that's why I had a number of really old people who we would have thought should be resting by now, but who probably are scared about the kind of Ghana they are going to hand over to their children and grandchildren. A Ghana where there's very little regard to the ethics of leadership. For me, that's what these issues are about. And it becomes very worrying when you consider the kind of response the president gave when these issues were brought before him. For me, it was really, really disappointing for the president to say that, or to ask the minister to go and sort out these issues with the labor unions. It's very, very extremely disappointing. And it's disappointing because this issue of the agric minister attempting to buy public property is one that borders on a fundamental breach of public trust that is supposed to be held to. Because you see, once you are a public servant or you are in a public service, then there's a public trust created on you. Indeed, it was Thomas Jefferson who said that once you are a public official, then you are public trust, and that means that you are the public property. So then your focus of your service shouldn't be to make any sort of economic gain from that position, because immediately you start breaching that trust, what happens is that you breach the trust the citizens, the people have in the system of governance that we've taken upon ourselves. We should remember that we are a republic, and simply what a republic means is that we being, as in the sovereign, and the public being the people. So the people really are the sovereign, and we give our powers, sovereign powers, to people in government. You understand? It's true that we divide the powers, but we give a chunk of it to the executive. And so where the executive or anybody using any form of executive power is seen to be using those powers for his personal gain, then what happens is that a fundamental breakdown of trust happens to the people, the republic, to the people. And that portends extreme danger for the system of governance we have. And for me, that's what the issue the issue is. And I know that a lot of discussions have been had as in terms of Rock City being a separate legal entity from Brian. I think he himself have advanced that argument. I don't want to say any argument is lame, but that argument clearly shows a lack of appreciation of the extent of the public trust. But then the question is, who benefits from Rock City? And that's why we have a beneficial owner. Who benefits from Rock City? The sole beneficial owner or sole beneficiary of Rock City is the minister. You understand? And so that argument should even be brought up, because in fact you can extend the burden of the public trust, not even just to you yourself, but your friends, your family, and all. And that's why we have the word nepotism. Don't put yourself in a situation where you or your cohorts will be seen to be benefiting from that position of trust that we place you in. So that argument doesn't hold. I also heard arguments about the fact that there was due process, and indeed, for me, there was no due process. There will be no due process, even though regard is had to the beneficial owner of the company that went through that due process. So because the Rock City is owned by Champion, because he's the beneficial owner, because he's the one who stands to make financial gain from Rock City. Or where Rock City makes profit, they declare dividends. Who benefits from those dividends is Brian a champion, and because he has placed himself in the position of conflict of interest, because he's placed himself in the position where he's breaching the public trust, then Rock City as a company being in the process is null and void in the first place. I've also heard arguments about the value, the fact that about Rock City, whether they're making profit. Because himself said, and that was all those issues for me are moot. They are moot to the extent that this issue is one that clearly borders on the inappropriateness of a company owned by a cabinet minister benefiting from or attempting to buy a property that belongs to the state. You get a picture. But I see it becomes even worrying. This issue becomes worrying when you read the Ejapadiya book. You are saying that a president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, who was seen or is seen to be the doyen of rule of law, the protector of due process. Indeed, about 2 weeks ago, a week or two ago, he was projecting his fidelity to due process. So when such a president who does not bypass the opportunity of bringing up his credentials as a protector of the rule of law, as the faithful person to the principles of due process, when he sits down aloof, and all he can say, when there's a blatant breach of public trust or due process, and all he can say is, Minister for Labour, go and speak with Labour Union. When he has no commitment to protecting that due process.
Absolutely.
Then, for me, is it not a case that really does his intention all along? Probably does his intention all along. Especially when you read the Itapadier book, and within some few months of sacking or changing the Director General of Senate, these issues come up. What really is his commitment, or what really is his focus or purpose for even becoming president in the first place?
Absolutely.
Was it to protect and dedicate himself to the people of Ghana, or to pursue his own agenda that includes buying state assets, capturing the state? Is that his agenda? And if that is his agenda, then what are the people of Ghana doing?
What are the people of Ghana doing?
Are we going to sit down for this agenda to be perpetrated? Are we going to sit down for our state to be captured? Are we going to sit down for this our president to break down every value, every principle, every ethic that holds our society together? Are we going to sit down and watch on and look on, all in the name of partisanship? Is that what we are going to do? So, you see, for me, if all you see is about somebody attempting to buy properties that belongs to a state, then the issue becomes, oh yeah, if he has money, why not?
Simplistic. That's why we're simplifying the issues.
If he has money, why not? But if you scratch beyond the surface, then what is happening is so dangerous and can lead to a fundamental breakdown of the system of governance, whose focus is to protect our lives. Because we think that that system is the best system that can protect our lives, that can protect our liberties, that can protect and guarantee our right to pursue our own happiness. Now, if that's a system, and if that's what this fundamental breach of trust, public trust, is what Brian Champon is doing and the president is looking on represents, and if indeed the president has other commitments beyond one, the oath he took on the 7th of January, one, an oath to be faithful to Ghana, an oath to protect and defend the constitution of Ghana, an oath to dedicate himself to the well-being of all Ghanaians. If that was the oath he took, and this is what, and if this is what he's given, then we will better sit up and fight to protect our country, because he is destroying this country. He's undermining every value. He's undermining every purpose. He's undermining every principle of leadership.
Right.
And what is at stake is the sanctity, the sanity, and the integrity of the democracy we are practicing.
Right. Kwame, I'd like you to come in because I'm saving you for last. Kwame, I want you to come in.
Well, first of all,
what do you make of, and I'm sorry that I'm going to rush because today I want us to deal with all of our issues. That's why I kept trying to, yes. I was pushing Laura small as he was talking, but I want us to be able to deal with all our issues are weighty. So Kwame, what do you make of the demonstration? What do you make of the issues surrounding it? If you may, please, briefly.
but did you monitor the time? Why do you always do this?
Sorry in
and
advance.
then you create the impression as if...
I'm sorry in advance, Kwame. Today I want us to finish all our issues, or we'll spend the whole time dealing
this is
with just two.
you see, all the issues are important,
Yes.
but this is extremely important.
I agree.
And it is precisely why you saw old women and old men at the demonstration. It is not for nothing that the old people woke up in the morning to join the people to demonstrate. It is because it is at the heart of what we own as Ghanaians. It is very, very important. And it is also because this is an investment for and on behalf of pensioners. And so it is something that is very crucial. When you work and you serve the country, in your retirement, you should be able to benefit from the state. And so if you find out that the investments which have been made with people's money is being bought by an individual, and it's not properly accounted in terms of how much state will realize is terror, then of course it's a very big issue. But let me backtrack and say that I agree on all fours with lawyer Pierre Dankwa when he makes the point about state capture. And I think we have not averted our minds to it, but this is clearly an act of state capture. I don't know whether we've forgotten about Edapa royalties. we lost $12 million in that botched Edapa royalties deal, where we said we're in I think the idea was hatched in August 2021, where we said that we're going to put our gold in some fund, and then in return we have some 49% shares and things like that. Became a subject matter of controversy. We said we're going to get between $500 and $7 million. We didn't get it. People raised concerns, people demonstrated, and eventually the deal had to be rescinded. We lost $12 million. Subsequent to that, you recall also the PDS scandal. We lost $195 million. It appears people have not averted their minds to these things. Okay? But it is all an attempt to own the very important or the key sectors of our economy, even when they are in opposition, even when they are not in power. And I'm talking about the Achin Mafia. So if you check the mineral sector, the energy sector, okay, that's why they brought PDS. The communication sector brought Kelny GVG. Do you remember? Yeah. Then several other sectors, the banking sector collapsed. Collapsed all the banks. This 5G, you know who has set up the oil and gas sector, the TOR. They said the managing director of TOR came and said that TOR was not functioning properly. They were not actually making profit. Okay, he resigns and then creates a consortium, which consortium is now being used to purchase TOR. We would not have noticed if the workers had not come out to complain. So this is an attempt to own key sectors of the economy, and this is rooted in the Japadia deal. You recall that before Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo was given the opportunity, because he begged, so we pardoned him. We said, "Oh, you are begging too much. Let's help you small." He begged, and we gave him the opportunity in 2016. He had already sold his father's hotel. He had sold his father's properties. And so one can only conclude that this whole idea of wanting to sell the Snit hotels is just an attempt to rebuy the hotels that he sold, to restore the glory, or to restore the past glory of his family members. That's what it is. Brian Champon really is like a small screen. It's a veiled attempt to sell the properties to Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his people. Brian is just a pawn in a bigger chess game. They are just using his company, okay, as a front to purchase these hotels. Because what is the motivation? What is the reason? Why would anybody want to sell off state assets? Why? It is not as though these hotels are not profitable. We have stated here, and Akojo has given us, practical examples or explanations as to the profitability of at least two of the hotels, if not all of them. The last time we had this conversation. So, what is the justification for wanting to sell off these hotels? There's no basis for that. Now, let me come to the demonstration. You see, and so oftentimes I find it very disappointing when most Ghanaians are unable to see through some of these things and to provide the necessary support and assistance to people who are fighting against the state capture. It hurts me that we have young people in this country who are so soaked in partisanship, overly partisan, to the point where they don't see beyond the peripheries of their political affiliations, to the point where they must now appreciate the fact that this is a national conversation and we must all support it. What was the reason for the demonstration? The reason for the demonstration is to continue to drum home the fact that government should intervene. And Brenda Champon should walk away from this deal, because this deal serves nobody's interest. It doesn't. So that was the purpose of the demonstration. Now, as to the conduct of the police and if even the people who came to receive the petition and things, it's so condescending and very disrespectful. Why? The police, In fact, that day I was driving to Laboni, and all the exit points were blocked because of the demonstration. Okay, the people simply wanted to walk to the Jubilee House to present a petition.
No, opposite the Jubilee House.
Opposite, not the Jubilee House. Why?
Opposite
Don't people demonstrate
House.
at White House?
No, but they were not given permission to.
You see, and this whole permission thing, it's just.
So just by way of information, where the petition was meant to be presented at Christ the King.
Yeah.
Opposite the Jubilee
I know
House.
Christ the King, yes.
Yeah.
I know, but do you know where they were blocked? They didn't even get to Christ the King. I saw it. I saw them. I saw them. Because I had to use, in fact, I thought that they were, you know, when you are going to Labone, you can connect from Christ the King to police headquarters, and then you can use that stretch to Labone. That's the road I wanted to use. It was blocked. I had to turn around and go and use another road. But the point I'm making is that this business about people not being able to get closer to the Jubilee House and to present petitions, I find it strange. Why? What is there? What is it? You think that if people really want to bomb Jubilee House, they can't bomb Jubilee House? There's a road right in front of Jubilee House. Somebody can stand and just bomb Jubilee if they want to. And the democracy that we've been enjoying over the period is not by reason of some deliberate creation by political parties to want to ensure the sustainability of the democracy. It is because the Ghanaian people have resigned themselves to that belief that the democracy is the way to go. And you see, the democracy, one of the things which underpins democracy is our ability to freely demonstrate our displeasures, if there is any, against any government at all. So when you gag people, when people are expressing themselves the best way they can, and you, by reason of the power that you wield, you think that you can prevent them from doing so, then what are you asking them to do? Then positive defiance will be the order of the day, if that is what they want. I am so surprised that we are using state security agencies to prevent unarmed civilians of this nation, okay, whose mandate it is that the president is using. You are preventing them from visiting the very person that they allowed entry, into their homes. Does it make sense to you? That you, the president, you came to us when you were campaigning. You came to us. You said we should give you the mandate to rule us. We have given you the mandate. We are saying that, oh, Mr. President, in this particular area, you are not performing well. We want to come and see you and express ourselves to you. Then you are saying that, I've shut my door, don't come in. Really? Does that make sense to you? And then you are using the police, you are using the military, you are using all these other state agencies to prevent people from freely demonstrating. I find it really despicable. And I think that we must get to the point where people should be allowed to freely demonstrate and be allowed to vent their spleen at government, because that's the only way, or that is the only way they can actually express themselves. I mean, apart from going to the polls in every 4 years, right? The only way you can express yourself is to demonstrate.
Right.
So if we are gagged now, how do we then, channel those energies?
Right.
How do you want us to channel it? And where do you want us
specifically,
to
you are speaking to the demonstrators not being allowed to go to the designated, point that was initially agreed on even before the demonstration, to go and present the petition, and the subsequent, throwing of tear gas and pepper.
We know the demonstrators. We know the people who organized it.
Right.
Is Okujeto known to be somebody who has been throwing bombs in this country? Has he ever thrown even a right? Has he even fired a gun before? So what is this business about?
Right.
And you see, you have, when people are demonstrating, I'm sorry, and I'm landing here. When people are demonstrating, the reason why they meet the organizers of the demonstration is so that they can, if there's any fallout, those are the people they will hold responsible. So if you have met these people, you've had an agreement, you know where it is that they are going to terminate. Why do you prevent them? Why?
Right.
Because you think you have what's it called, tear gas and all those things to prevent them. It doesn't make sense. And you see, Mr. Ahin is a personal friend of mine, the Greater Accra Regional police commander. He's a very good friend of mine. But I think on this occasion, they are kowtowing to the whims and caprices of politicians, and it's becoming annoying, increasingly annoying. People are getting impatient. Let them demonstrate. What is wrong with it?
Well, I mean, I was there before it started. We did the whole walk. I was there, and I can say that in the beginning, in fact, if you watch the report that we did, in the beginning we kept praising the police, for how, what's the word they were, how professional they were, and how also just how involved they seemed to be, because for a chunk of the time I walked directly behind the police, for a long, maybe more than halfway through the demonstration. So yeah, later when that happened, we thought that was pretty unfortunate, especially because it was unprovoked. Normally you want to see demonstrators misbehave, and then you sort of clamp down on them and show them, hey, stick here. But this one, I don't think that, because it was a designated spot, we hadn't even gotten to a designated spot, So rather unfortunate. Kojo, briefly, Kojo.
Yeah. I saw some images of the demonstration, very well attended. Lots and lots of people turned out for it. So clearly it's something that people care about, and that's no surprise. You see, SNIT funds are not state funds. They are workers' funds. And maybe in this country we like to forget that. And perhaps it's because we've never really properly accounted. We've never really engaged in professional, competent stewardship of our pension funds. That's why people have the opportunity to come and buy assets in such a shady way. In other parts of the world, pension funds make an economy. So in the United States, they have very decentralized government. If you go to a particular state, the police in that state have their own pension fund. The train railway workers have their own pension fund. The drivers, cab drivers have their own pension. Every sector has its own pension fund, and each of these funds I'm mentioning is multi-billion dollars, right? Why is it multi-billion dollars? It's not because they have such wonderful salaries. Well, yes, obviously they are paid a bit more than their Ghanaian counterparts will be paid, but that's not why these amounts are so huge. It's because of prudent investment. So when the police pension fund is put together, they find someone from Wall Street. They hire the person and pay him a fortune to manage their fund. So his job is to properly invest it in things that will make money, not lose money. Right? And this is a professional. So the money, it's like his client is the, I'm using the police as the example. His client is the police pension fund. And his job is to invest their money in places where it will make profit. Sometimes he invests in the morning, disinvests in the afternoon because he's made his profit, then he's moving it somewhere else. He diversifies the portfolio. If he's going to buy property, look, the money doesn't stay locked in things where, there can even be the slightest whiff of impropriety. There is a board scrutinizing his work. So that money just keeps growing. Growing. So every police officer is assured, if he retires today, his money is guaranteed, and that money will keep growing. That's what a pension is. It's a guarantee of your comfort in your later life. Here in Ghana, we are just hoping for the best. We've cobbled together some ragtag group of people and said, oh, these people, just by dint of their spunk and chutzpah are going to, come together once every 3 months and have conversations about what is happening to our fund. And the people who are on the board have no knowledge or experience of the things that the money is being engaged to do. So you bring people from labor, you bring people from here, then the president will appoint about 5 people, 5 friends of his, or 5 people whose names he likes the sound of, or 5 people whose fathers contributed to his campaign some 5 people. All these people come together with absolutely no ability to grow the money that the entire nation is relying on. You see, we put all our eggs in one basket and call this SNIT. Instead of us being smart, diversifying, so that different, workers groups have different pension funds, and we hire professionals to manage each one. No. We have taken all of it, put it in one basket, and put the president as the mother hen to sit on top of the basket and do what he likes with the eggs. And this is what happens. So why will his minister not come along and buy some of the hotels if he feels like it? Why not? And look at the person we've put to look after our pension funds. Look at the person we've put to superintend over it. Nana Akufo-Addo. Look, does he think people still take anything he says seriously? The president. Does he think any right-minded Ghanaian is still taking the things he says seriously? How many promises has he broken? How many things has he said and done the exact opposite? From, I will put my presidency on the line, and then Galamsey becomes worst ever, to, don't come into my government to make money. And then now his minister is buying state assets. And what did he do about it? It's not like he doesn't know. It's not like he's being shielded from the truth. He's aware. When he was made aware, what did he do? He sent the labor minister, who is not on the board, who has nothing to do with what is happening on the board, to go and explain to labor what is happening on the board. Meanwhile, labor is on the board. So, I gave that analogy, didn't I? It's like me, I have a problem with the work that I'm doing with Kwame. So I come and complain to Ama as Kwame's boss, which is not the case. But Ama as Kwame's boss, that Ama, I don't like the way Kwame is dealing with me. Then Ama sends you to come and explain to me what Kwame is doing. Meanwhile, you are not part of the work we are doing. I know more than you. How will you explain to me? Meanwhile, the problem persists. Your minister, who you sit in cabinet with, is buying the state assets. You are okay with it. Nobody should come into your government to make money. Nobody should come into your government to make... You said that with your mouth, and this is happening. What else has he not said and turned his back on? Do you know that just yesterday, in spite of the fact that the man himself has written that he's reached retirement age and wants to go home, the president has extended the contract of the Auditor General by another 2 years. The same Auditor General's office that when Domelevu was coming up to his retirement date and he was on leave, they said, don't come back. Don't come back. Your retirement date is due. Don't come back. This one has been given 2 extra years. Meanwhile, we've even been to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to say that the president was wrong to have removed Domelevu the way he did. This time around, the person himself has written to you saying that I'm due to retire, and you have given him 2 more years. It's almost like he's spitting in our faces. He's telling us that I do not care. I don't care what you think. I'll do what I like. It doesn't matter what I've said in the past. I will do the opposite. There's nothing you can do to me. We are busy calling Baumia Baulaya. It should be Nana Akufo-Laya. That he's the one who's telling the lies. He's the one who has made the promises and is failing. I mean, say what you like of the man who says he was driver's mate, but the fact is, ultimately, someone else was making decisions. Someone else had the mandate to make decisions. And we are where we are. Everything he says, he goes against it. His own MPs came to him and said that, we want you to get rid of the finance minister. He said, no problem. As soon as we complete the IMF deal, I'll get rid of him. Staff level agreement came, he didn't get rid of him. Board level agreement came, didn't get rid of him. In the end, he had to be forced to do a reshuffle. That's when finally he moved him from finance ministry to a finance minister emeritus. That's the president we are dealing with. Nothing he says ever turns out to be the truth. I am not, what's it called? I am not a clearing agent. I'm fighting corruption. I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that. Look, just look at the cesspool. That is his legacy as a government. So honestly, at this point, I don't know who is taking the president seriously anymore. Which is why it is a ridiculous situation for us to be in, that we have to go and demonstrate for the right thing to be done with our own pension funds. It's because it's in the hands of the wrong person. But this ridiculousness will not end. The problem is very simple. A minister of state is buying state property. Where in the world do you justify this?
How?
Where on this planet is this good? Only in Akufo-Addo's government.
Do you know what surprises me?
How?
I listened to an NDC member of parliament, Vondi, on Asempa yesterday, justifying this. I'm telling you.
Maybe you misunderstood.
I did not misunderstand him. And I was shocked. A minister, a member of parliament for NDC in the central region, Vondi, was justifying this. And started by even saying that, oh, Brian Achampon is a very good friend of mine. And what is wrong? If Rock City has the funds and is able to buy but you see, because of the way things are now, he would advise his friend Brian Achampon to just stay away. But he doesn't see anything.
He doesn't even get it.
We should project an end.
Yeah.
Discuss further.
Yeah.
The decentralization of the pensions funds.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you see, because of the over centralization and the fact that it's the government, imagine per their own rules, they are supposed to, I think, put more than 70% in government bonds.
Yeah.
And the bonds,
For the bonds.
Yeah, but imagine about 70% of the SNP funds, of our pension funds, were used to purchase
Bonds.
government bonds, the state of the bonds now. So for me, we need a radical rethink of how governance is done and the structures of governance and how all these things are done. You understand? There's no point.
But you're onto something, oh. You're really onto something there.
Yeah.
If 70% of our pensions were used to buy bonds, and the bonds are in the states in which they are now.
Now, let me scare you.
Let me draw the deductions.
I want to scare you further.
Then
International Labour Organization, per their report, says that by 2036, there will be no funds. As in, we have to look for funds somewhere from elsewhere to fund SNP funds. So by 2036, pensioners in this country won't get money from SNP.
But the point that I was trying to make is that what it means is that this government, we are all talking about mismanagement. And last week, actually 2 weeks ago when we discussed this issue, we spoke about the fact that we are glorifying, perhaps I'm wrong, it wasn't him, maybe it was with Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa when he came. Because I raised the question of glorifying inefficiency. This thing about we can't manage, and so we are selling it into private hands. And how I found that shocking, that for an organization that is supposed to manage the funds of pensioners, for you to boldly come out and say that I can't manage. That for me was... But you see, I think that it's worse than that. If we think about linking it to 70% of that money in government bonds, that is not just SNP that has failed us. Government has... There's a direct link between what is happening and terrible governance. There's a direct link.
Absolutely. And you are right when you say it's worse than that. Because, look, let me explain it by using what happens in Wall Street or on the stock market.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the stock market, what people are doing is they are trying to figure out how to make some profit on their money.
Yeah.
Okay, how to buy shares in companies whose share value will increase.
Yeah.
So that the value of what they bought will increase and they will be richer.
Yeah.
Right. That's what happens on the stock market. So you have to use a certain amount of skill and ability to try and figure out where will things go well. And the money you are using is limited. It's people's saving, people's money. So they brought it to you. They say, I want you to invest, make me richer. But it's a limited amount. You can only buy so much stock, only buy so much shares. If you lose money, you lose money. right? SNIT is an endless source of money.
Yeah.
Endless. Because every month there are contributions. Every month there are contributions. Do you know how much effort you have to put in to lose money for SNIT? Like, do you know how hard you have to work to incur losses? You have to make some of the most stupid decisions ever made in order for an endless source of money to be depleted. In order for the ILO to announce that by 2036, there won't be any money. The endless money will finish. Do you understand how incompetent you have to be to finish endless money? That's what we have. That's what we have. Now look, we are upset that SNIT is selling the hotels, but maybe we have to put a certain perspective on it. This decision to sell the hotels was made several years ago by the previous board before the 2020 elections. They made those decisions under a certain group of circumstances. What were those circumstances? The hotels were all losing money except for maybe Labadi Beach.
Yeah.
They were all losing money. They couldn't pay electricity bills. Hotel. Whereas every space earns money. But these hotels couldn't pay their own electricity bills. They couldn't pay their own staff salaries. They couldn't pay their own staff SNIT contributions. So they would come back to SNIT and say, we can't pay their contributions this month too, so we will not be bringing, first of all, we won't bring you any dividends because we didn't make profit. First problem. The money that the SNIT, the pensioners' money you gave us to run a hotel and bring you profit, we made no profit, so we can't give you anything. First problem. Second problem, in addition to not being able to bring you profit, we also can't pay the SNIT contributions of our staff. Something which should come to you every month. The endless money, our part of it, we can't give it to you. But just in case that doesn't insult you enough, please, we can't pay our light bill, so give us money. That was the situation. So SNIT was literally on top of the money they were losing. The pensioners' funds that they were losing were also giving money to the losing entities to pay their light bills. Do you get how ridiculous that is? Yeah. So in that atmosphere, they said to themselves, you know what? Maybe hotels is not what we should be doing. Let's offload these things and get out of it. So SNIT will no longer be in the business of hotels and find something else, something more profitable to do with the money. So the board made this decision. So far, so good. If indeed, by their assessment, they are losing more than they are making, then yes, it made sense to stop the bleeding. But then a new board came along. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a minister of state was the one buying these hotels. At first, he was going to buy 6, you remember?
Yes. Yes.
Now, and then it was brought down to 4.
Yes.
Come on. So now we are being forced to demonstrate, to protest something which was made as a sensible, cost-cutting decision. We are now being forced to protest it because someone wants to turn it into an avenue for corruption. When we are down at our lowest, that is when the vulture wants to pick at our flesh. And this is a vulture that we are paying.
Yeah.
We are paying this vulture to pick at our flesh. There's no bigger insult.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But to conclude, why were you not there? Why were you not there at the demonstration? Briefly, then we ran. Quickly, I'm putting you all on the spot. I'm doing this very deliberately. Why were you not there?
Well, I've been demonstrating since.
So you didn't come because you've been demonstrating since?
No, I'm not done. I've been demonstrating since, and I had other very important job which was in the service of the country.
Okay.
Quietly, yeah.
Why were you not there?
I don't do demonstrations. Life is too short.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry.
So my life is not short.
I said life is too short. Maybe
Not
yours
for
is.
me.
Maybe you
I
are
have
immortal.
2 infinite
I know?
lifetimes.
How do I know? No, I don't do demo. Listen, first of all, I mean,
briefly,
I don't know. Maybe to protect the Constitution, I might come out onto the streets. But until then, I'll report on demonstrations. I'll inform the nation of what happens at demonstrations. That is also my civic duty.
By the way, you know that, Kwame?
My wife was there.
Wow. Okay.
The two shall be one. The two shall be one.
Okay. Right. Nothing to say to that. Absolutely nothing. But it would have been nice for all of us, because that's the point. If every Ghanaian had come out, I think, because then it's pointless, isn't it? If we believe in the demonstration and we share in the sentiments of the reason why the demonstration is being held, I think it's important that we let our feet do the talking every now and then. No? You agree with me?
Next time we'll join you.
Thank you. Thank you. Second issue. The National Intelligence Bureau says Napo is the preferred running mate presidential candidate for the new patriotic party. Ask that issue, Kwame.
Oh, interesting. Okay. This morning I was actually waiting for the survey, the report, but unfortunately I have not seen the report yet. I wanted to know what went into it, but if what I've heard is anything to go by, then the presumption is that Napo is actually one of the least in terms of what the NIB considered as the potential running mate to Dr. Bawumia. Now, they talk about his inefficiencies and the fact that he's one person who has not been able to manage even his own ministry very well, and therefore he is not the person to partner Dr. Bob, because there's no track record, really. Okay, there's no track record. I mean, Napo has, I don't know what he has achieved for us to say that we want to leave our country in the hands of Napo. Matthew Opoku, let me add the Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Apart from being somebody who comes from the royal family, apart from coming from the Ashanti region, apart from being a part of a lot of the demonstrations which were organized by the MPP when they were in opposition, apart from becoming a member of parliament, apart from enjoying the largesse of the state, and apart from
that's a lot of apart from. So it looks like you're actually telling us.
Apart from getting,
right? For somebody who can't find who he is, you surely do know who he is and what he's done.
I've not said I don't. I know who he is, and I'm just trying to tell you that apart from all these things that I've mentioned, there's nothing really interesting about him, or something that really stands out that will make me confident that he is somebody who can partner Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Already, we know that Dr. Bawumia himself is facing a lot of challenges, particularly because he's Northern. And pardon me, I mean, I do not want to be the one to rope into democratic conversations, issues about ethnocentrism and tribalism. However, unfortunately, that is the political dispensation in which we find ourselves, and therefore I am tempted to go there. Now, I'm tempted to go there because, and that is why the choice of a running mate for Dr. Bawumia has become a bottleneck, because he is from the northern region. Whether you like it or not, he is from the northern region. So the conversation is centered around getting someone who is from the Ashanti region to partner Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And I'm so surprised that a political party that lawyer Apia Dankwa once belonged to cannot find a credible running mate to Dr. Bawumia. I am surprised, to be honest with you. A political party that birthed at the time, not the current year Osafumafu, but at the time year Osafumafu, that birthed Dr. Give me some of the prominent members of the MPP, because I've not really. Give me some of the names.
Kwame Pianim.
Kwame Pianim. Oh, it's not even about them. Kwame Pianim.
You're taking it all the way back.
You know, Yahoo Tamaklo.
Yes.
And all these Dr. Rick, can you imagine? Look at these men.
Stanley Edry.
You know,
Langston.
Come on.
On and on.
Alan Kojo Tremantin. No, this is not funny.
Right.
It's not funny. This is the political party that even at some point the NDC wanted to be like. Unfortunately, I mean, that's the truth. NDC at some point wanted to behave like the MPP people. So they started wearing all these, but that's just by the way. But to reduce the NPP political party to a contest between, what's his name? Matthew Opoku Prempeh is unfathomable. I cannot understand even why we go to this point. And it's not like I hate him or anything. It's just that, the competencies which must characterize the choice of a leader, with the grace of respect to him, is far extricated from his persona. He's not somebody that I would even consider, okay, to be, even for a minister, yeah, but running mate and potential vice president of the Republic, somebody who looked at Ghanaians in our faces and told us when we were faced with Dumso that if you claim you have Dumso and you need a timetable to assure yourself that you have Dumso, then go and create your own timetable. This is so how disrespectful. This is him. And he said there are so many tales that we've heard, but these tales we do not have evidence to, so I will not be able to put some of them out. But clearly, from the things that we've heard in the cookie jar, the cookie, I don't want to put my hand in the cookie jar and pick things out. But clearly, from where I sit, Napo is a no-no for me. Okay. Now hold on. Oh, I'm just concluding on this with the grace of respect. Yeah. Now, what baffles me is to have a state institution, National Intelligence Bureau, whatever it is, Bureau, to use my money. No, I'm serious here, please. To use my money, to go and conduct a survey for a political party. I think we need to, in fact, I will sue them. Because you are using our money meant for intelligence gathering to go and do the bidding of NAPO or another political, or of a political party. Are they suggesting to us that if the CPP came to them today, or the NDC came to them today, or PNC, or Nana Bedi Movement for Change, or whatever it is, came to them today, they will use my resources to conduct similar surveys for these political parties? Is that what they are saying? Is it their mandate? Is it their objective? What business do they have in coming out with a survey, okay, which survey is to the benefit of the MPP? Are they saying that Dr. Baumia doesn't have a mind of his own to determine who should partner him? Are they saying that he can't think for himself and by himself to choose somebody who can partner him into 2024 elections? So, I mean, all of these things point to the fact that even Dr. Baumia himself is questionable. Because look, if you have a leader whose decision is hinged on a survey that is conducted, or that is supposed to be conducted by an intelligence body, before you can decide on who will partner you, then with the grace of God, you will say you are not serious.
It's in line with how digitized he is, Kwame. Could you come in?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now I'm even wondering with what sentiment I should look out for the vice president's announcement of his running mate. Because I want proof that anyone who wants to run this country knows what he's doing. I need proof. I need proof that John Mahama knows what he's doing, that Alan Chermantin knows what he's doing, that Baumia knows what he's doing. That's the only way I can have some hope in the future of my country. That one of the people on the ballot box has a clue what they are doing. So what will I say to someone who chooses Napo as running mate? Does he know what he's doing? Let's examine the facts. So who are we talking about? Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Napo. This government has given him 2 portfolios, 2 of the most important portfolios to run as minister. First, he was made education minister. Then he became energy minister. What did he do as education minister? Well, he was minister when free SHS was implemented. How well was it implemented? Well, I mean, it was botched to the point where we had to do double track. Nobody. And that one, the fact that we have double track is just proof that we are dancers, or whoever was running the ministry at the time. I'm sorry, but how will he convince anybody that he's not a dance? He couldn't take a calculator and calculate after the first year, when they took in the first term or first intake, that by the second year we will not have enough schools for the children that we're educating. Something as fundamental as this.
We know the numbers.
Missed.
We know
the numbers. We know the number of schools. We know the number of places. And we were caught by surprise. Which smart person can be caught by surprise by that? Our minister was. Then they couldn't feed them. Then things got so bad. Some of the schools were so overcrowded that the students had no toilet facilities. And the education minister, a trained medical officer no less, went there and told them that they should defecate in polythene bags, tie it up and throw it into the bush. The minister, he wants to be vice president of Ghana, and that's what he said to students. After 60 years of independence, they've made you minister of education, and these are the solutions you have. Sebi, tie it up and lob it like a Molotov cocktail into the bush. That's his track record at education ministry. Then they moved him, because he was so good, they kept him as a minister. They moved him to energy, where after 6 years of not having to worry about the trauma of Dumso, and by the way, any Ghanaian will tell you that Dumso was traumatic.
Oh yes.
When for 1/3 of the year our lights were off, it was traumatic to Ghanaians. Napo brought it back. Oh, but the difference is that he couldn't even tell that it was Dumso. He wasn't even able to discern. Hey. He said it was doing CSC. That he was doing that to CSC, our power sector. Is it CSC? I mean, I haven't left the country. I've been here with you guys. Have I missed something? Have we CSC'd the energy sector? Have we?
No.
He was in Parliament yesterday, flapping his gums again.
You are forgetting during his tenure these procurement breaches and things like that.
You see, I want to work my way
but you
backwards.
skipped education. So finish education
I
before you
want to
come to
work my
energy.
way backwards. As for education alone, too much.
You
Let me just look. I just want to determine whether we are dealing with someone who was a competent minister or not. That's the question I'm trying to answer here. And I don't think I have to present too much evidence to demonstrate that this is somebody who failed at both portfolios. So what do we do with someone who has failed twice? We promote him. We move him from minister to vice president. That's who we are. And why are we doing this? Well, it's because the MPP, knowing that they have an uphill battle in 2024, because they've just been so good at running the country, knowing they have an uphill battle, they've realized that Now they must do maths. The maths that they failed to do, for which reason children had to defecate into polythene bags, couldn't eat, had to go on double track. We had to go to the IMF. The maths that they couldn't do, now they are doing it for election. So now they know that in order to win, they must have a massive margin in the Ashanti region, where the numbers are enough to guarantee them a victory in the upcoming election. So they are thinking to themselves, okay, who can clinch us this victory? Who can get us 80% of Ashanti region? And for some reason, they decided that the answer is Napo. So again, their maths is not mathing. Napo Nara in his own constituency, how is he doing? Why, who has convinced them that he is the one who can win the whole region for them? Where are they getting that conviction from? What political analysis went into that? Why are they convinced that the Asantis, when they see that Napo is the running mate, so they will then come out in their droves to vote for the MPP? Where did they get this from? So if they settle on this decision, if they decide for themselves that the way to win is Napo, then as a voter, waiting for some bright spark to shine on this ballot paper, I'm afraid I might have to bring my own flashlight, because this is too dim a strategy for anyone to have faith that these people know what they are doing. And Kwame's point about the National, what are they called? Intelligence Bureau, deciding that this is what they want to do with their time, I find it fascinating. I mean, I don't know the propriety of it. They are the National Intelligence Bureau, so I guess they are supposed to gather intelligence. But
yes.
What kind of intelligence is this? The outcome of this is that NPP says they want Napo. That is, even if it is to be believed that they've done the work. The outcome is that NPP says they want Napo. What kind of intelligence is that? What is that? What have they revealed? What information have they got? What intelligence is that? What intelligence is that? And they spent money to do this. Look, let me read something to you. This is from the report. I mean, I was...
Send it to me.
I'll share the report with you, don't you worry.
Please send me the report.
I'll say yes, don't you worry. I'll make sure you all get copies. But yes, this thing is now in the public domain. Now, when you read through, it's a very short report, by the way. It's 7 pages. I don't know whether there's a summary or whether there is a further, but it has all the elements of a report: executive summary, introduction, everything, tables, everything, right? Now, I want to read just this paragraph to you, okay? It says, a significant majority of respondents, approximately 84%, view Dr. Opoku Prempeh as the ideal running mate for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia due to his charisma and popularity among party members. Refer to figure 2. When you go to figure 2, there's nothing measuring charisma or popularity. So how did they draw that conclusion? That it is because of his charisma and popularity that people like him. Where did they get that from? But they've put it here as intelligence. And then they add this. This is just beggars belief. It says, however, 89% stated they would accept whoever Dr. Bawumia selects as his running mate. 89%. So 84% say they want Napo, but 89% say they don't care. Yeah, Napo would be nice, but actually we don't care who you choose. So if this is a report that they are presenting to be the reason for a choice to be made, the same report says, doesn't matter who you choose. What a waste of paper.
Our money. What is this paper you're talking about? Is our money?
Even our money is paper.
I like that.
$1 is about 15 point something. It's paper.
This is, from what Kwame and Kojo seem to be saying, they're suggesting that this is unintelligent intelligence. I'm just a little...
Thank you. Precisely.
In fact, I won't talk about the NIV. I think they've done a very good job. They've done a very good job. And you can clearly see that I'm a bit also frustrated. that I'll spend executive time to talk about NAPO. So I want to talk about NAPO too. But I want to talk about my two brothers here did a very good job at looking at the system that is going to choose the vice presidential candidate. We all know that it will be the choice of the vice president working together with the party. So when we talk about the party, I saw my friend here gleefully mention a party that I was once a member of and mentioned a litany of names, people who were members of. But I think I've said it here and I want to say it again. That when His Excellency, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, was chosen as the presidential candidate, Brett Chapo told all Ghanaians that it was the spirit of the party, the spirit of the MPP, that has chosen Dr. Bawumia as their candidate, somebody who potentially can be the president of Ghana. So it is very important for Ghanaians to question that spirit.
That's familiar spirit.
No, it's very serious. It's very serious. You see, when Brian Champon, the same Brian Champon who right now spirit that chose Nanado, caused the same spirit that Nanado chose by Brian Champon, for Brian Champon to breach the public trust that we had in him. And that same spirit also chose Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And that spirit is going to lead Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to choose for us somebody who potentially can become the vice president of this country. Then we need to look into that spirit. We need to understand that spirit that gave us Nanado. You see how you were frustrated. You were frustrated talking about Nanado. Kutu was practically frustrated speaking about Nanado. All of us. So that's what was that spirit? But if it's possible, then because we need to look at that spirit, understand the spirit, and if possible, we can even attempt to evangelize to that spirit, so that spirit will repent. Yes, because the spirit keeps on giving Ghana dangerous human beings. Dangerous human beings. Because right now, if the spirit gave us Nanado, this spirit has given us Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. This spirit is attempting to give us, also give us Brett Chapo, and it's attempting to give us NAPO. Then that spirit is a national security threat. That spirit is a national security threat. No, I'm serious. I beg you. That spirit is a national security threat. But that spirit has given us Nanado. That spirit has given us Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Monvasti and Imami. That's why I made him say Monvasti and Imami. Monvasti and Imami. That spirit has given us Brian Champon. That spirit is attempting to give us NAPO. Then that spirit. You see, but how did that spirit come about? Because you see, we all knew the spirit of the MPP. A very fine spirit. And Kwame said it. Even they wanted to be like the MPP. They wanted that spirit. And so that spirit had value for principles that were very dear to the constitutional democracy that we had chosen. As in, people, those who govern must do so with the consent of the governed, must respect diverse views. Then 2008, that good spirit, probably they were tricked. You understand? Probably they said they said the devil can come like an angel of light.
Wow.
Yeah, but the Bible said it. I'm not saying it. It says sometimes the devil can come like the angel of light. So that spirit, that good spirit, somehow failed to decipher Nanado's spirit. And I'll mention his name. Because this spirit that gave us Nanado in 2012. That's what I gave to MPP Nanado in 2012. It was a different spirit from what gave MPP Nanado in 2008. So the 2008 spirit was strict. And then when he came to sack that spirit.
The good spirit.
He came to sack the good spirit. He sacked the good spirit. He sacked the good spirit when they were beating people up at the trade fair, doing a very intellectual exercise when they attempted to amend their constitution. Nanado, Adodankwa William. He sacked that spirit. He sacked that spirit from the MPP. and gave the spirit that would tolerate statements like all die be die. He brought in that spirit that would tolerate that irresponsible statement, all that be die. Yeah? That spirit tolerated that needless coup d'etat against Paula Foucault, Sami Crab, and Kwabena Japan. That spirit tolerated that. Now that spirit is tolerating an MP who is also a professor, openly bribing EC officials, openly. That spirit, and I know it's alleged, but I believe that they did it. I know it's alleged. That spirit, in fact, facilitated a party sharing weed during a simple election at Edris. That spirit, that spirit had the cockroach audacity to go and pick up a judge. You see, when even the judges see that spirit, they run away. You remember when we ran that case in Kumasi, where
the Rexec vigilantes, rules, the court.
Yeah, I understand. So now that spirit has given the MPP potentially, in my view, and this is purely my view, potentially a very weak leader in His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And in how His Excellency Bawumia is even handling this whole vice president issue. Because one, the MPP's constitution, I think, gives a limitation in terms of the timeline by which he ought to have chosen his vice presidential candidate. If I'm mistaken, I stand to be corrected. Bawumia has wantonly breached that. And for me, it tells me that there is somebody who has no regard for due process. Because when you fail to do things per the time you're supposed to do them, you understand, then you don't have regard for due process. Two, the way he sounded tells me that there's somebody who finds it very difficult in making decisions. Very difficult in making decisions. You understand? And indeed, there's somebody who can easily be, because I can just imagine the extent of the manipulations that's going on. And why are we tolerating? And I'm an Ashanti. I'm a proper Ashanti boy, born and bred in Asafo Kumasi. And I'm one of those Ashanti boys who almost every other week goes to Kumasi. Nobody should be deceived by the fact that I was educated in Accra in Achimota. I'm a proper typical Ashanti man. But for crying out loud, why would a key consideration in choosing somebody who can potentially be the vice president of Ghana be a matter of whether he's an Ashanti or not? Because so what I'm concerned, Ashanti voted massively for his excellency. The Ashanti is the NPP, voted massively for his excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia against other Ashantis. So what makes people think that somebody's chances of helping the MPP consolidate? Because when you're talking about Ashanti and you're MPP, it shouldn't be about union. It should be about consolidating, because you have the region. You understand? What makes them think that in any Ashanti at all, because if you choose an Ashanti, then you'll be able to consolidate. When the history has told us that a champion's number one opposition in Ghana were Ashantis themselves. You see, I'm going to be for me. All I'll say is that I'm convinced beyond all reasonable doubt that the MPP, a party that is filled now with familiar spirit, seriously, a party that's filled now with familiar spirit, and this spirit consistently delivering to the people of Ghana. Because you see, mind you, once, as I say, apart from Prof. Edubwine, any candidate that the MPP and NDC has chosen as a point in time eventually becomes the president of this country. Apart from Prof. Edubwine, any candidate that the MPP or the NDC has chosen, eventually, as maybe they may fail once, they may fail twice, but eventually they become the president of this country. You understand? Now, because of that, we should be interested in the spirit, but they themselves in the spirit. We should be interested in the spirit that shapes this very crucial process and break that spirit for the sake of our country. Absolutely. Because that spirit consistently is delivering leaders for us, apart from, well, that's probably didn't give us Kufo. That's what gave us Nanado in 2012. Leadership that is breaking our country. And as in, it's all about whether MPP, whether NDC, whether independent, that we are interested in what is, as in the character and the principle that governs the value set that governs the MPP now, because it has become a matter of national interest.
Absolutely.
And for me,
absolutely.
Come 2024, you understand. And I know arguments will be made. I know personally my choice, and in fact, we are going to go overdrive myself in a campaign for Nabwala and Kojo Chamanten, but only for the reason of consequence. Only for the reason of consequence, because I shudder to think what president would have said if after this deadly leadership that they've meted out to us, if we endorse that leadership by voting His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and whichever vice president that he will choose forward by this familiar spirit, whoever, we retain them into power. Let us, in our commitment to the development of this country, vote them out, only to send a loud signal that we will not endorse failure. We will not endorse any irresponsibility from the political parties, because after all, the political parties themselves, per Chapter 6 of our Constitution, have been advised that when you are making decisions, when you are choosing for us leaders, when you are sponsoring people for us to vote, be guided by the directive principles of state policy, not by familiar spirits, not by evil spirits that would encourage statements like, "All die be die." Because at the end of the day, we are all Ghanaians, and our love for this country should push us. So for the NIB and endorse, I stand with everything you have said. But it's not about the NIB. I think the problem really is the familiar spirit, and we must find a way of exercising that familiar spirit.
Thank you, lawyer. Thank you, lawyer. Let's come straight to illegal mining. Beat up, so let's combine, and please, let's do this within 1 minute, 2 minutes, so we can deal with the elderly woman. I really want us to get there. So I'm looking at the time. Then let's go to the elderly woman first. Absolutely. So, we all woke up. I saw it on social media, even before I saw it on traditional media. This video circulating of an elderly woman, wrapped in what seemed to be a duvet or a cloth, in some bush somewhere, only to hear that she had died, that they had been involved in an accident, herself and a group of people, and that somehow those other people had been treated and discharged, but she couldn't speak as a consequence of the accident. Also, the point is that she couldn't speak, and so she couldn't answer any questions as to who she is, where she's from, who her people are, so they could call them and speak with them. Nothing was happening. So I think at some point the hospital allegedly, gets tired, of, how our hospital systems work, of taking care of somebody with no end in sight as to who will pay for the bills or who will not pay for the bills, or, can she go home, will she go home, is she going to become a burden? And all of these things are alleged because we haven't really, fully been, this woman can't speak, essentially. So we are told that the people within the community claim they saw a hospital ambulance drop the woman there and drive away. The woman is dead. What do you make of it?
It's sad, and it's really
actually, now we hear that somebody has been sent on suspension from the hospital. It's alleged that somebody within the hospital setup, has been asked to proceed, on suspension as they investigate all of these allegations.
Hospital or a public hospital?
I am unable to state categorically. That our hospitals in some of these areas, we know the name of them. I'm being very careful because none of this is conclusive enough.
But I even go to the hospital time. You see, for last 2 weeks, I was speaking with somebody I really respect, and he said the biggest problem this country has. Yes, we know that we have an economic issue, but the biggest problem we have is a fundamental lack of regard for principles and values. And forgive me if I use you as if I use an example, because when you study the law of thoughts, negligence. When we talk about the rescue principle, there was something that Judge Cardozo said. I don't know, that when somebody is, let's say, finds himself in an accident or is hurt, the natural human instinct would be to go to the person's aid. So if the person gets injured by reason of you shouldn't. We talk about what's called foreseeability and all those principles. You understand? What you would expect from us and human beings is to have that regard, to be each other's keeper. You understand? Everything shouldn't be a manual. All the excuses they are given. So within our setup, we have no way of dealing with people whose vulnerabilities borders on an inability to communicate at the point in time, or as no basket for. And that's why, once again, forgive me, I'm going back. There's something really important Kojo he said in the first. Maybe people don't see it, but I think it has to be escalated, about the need to decentralize even not just the pensions, but a lot of services within our setup in terms of proper regulation to ensure that people function properly, having regard to the purpose for which all those social systems are set up. So because for me, it ought not be an excuse that because she couldn't speak, because she was so. Well, yes, obviously she has been involved in an accident. Yeah. Should it be? Or
it's a trauma and specialist hospital. It's a trauma and a specialist hospital. I think the whole point of trauma is that sometimes people are unable to speak.
And for me, it is a symptom of the rapidly declining sort of social cushion, you understand, within our system. And also, I know it cannot be justified, as in they're going to throw. How were they thinking that because she can't speak and because she's died, you're just going to throw it to
it's shocking. So
I think that there's a fundamental breakdown in the respect for value and principle in our country. And whenever we are speaking about leadership, our focus always is on infrastructure here and the economy here. But we've not had leadership whose focus it is to also impact or create within us our value set. Also, when you go to let's say the US and some of these everything we see there is born out of a certain value that some leaders deliberately built in them. You understand? It's all part of leadership. I hate to use this example, but permit me to, and I hate to use this example because of how it ended. I'm talking about Hitler. Because when Hitler became the head of state of Germany, he came to lead a Germany that was broken, low on confidence, having lost but within a space of 4 years, he had built a Germany that believed that they were the greatest people. Because when you're a leader, it's also your responsibility to build or create a certain culture. There's a culture that will give all of us the best chance of fulfilling every single aspect of our life, including a culture that innately builds in us a deep-seated responsibility for our neighbor, a fellow human being. You understand? Because when we have those values, then we would have those systems that would have taken care of somebody as vulnerable as this lady. But we certainly, there's no, it's like everything is about I've built this road, even there because of lack of culture, because of lack of value for human beings. When we are even constructing the road, because we don't have any regard for human life. You understand? They build the roads anyhow. The engineers go and then they issue certificates when clearly they know that the nature in which this road has been built, lives will likely be lost. But it's all born out of a lack of value for human life. You understand? And that's what I'm saying. So, you see, we are going to make another edition again. Yes, and some people say, "Oh, for you, everything borders on voting." Well, but that's the first opportunity for all of us to make a decision. When we are making decisions, because leadership is everything. We should take that exercise very, extremely seriously because a great leader will find a way to build a culture that values human life, a culture that makes all of us feel responsible towards each other. And once that culture is built, it will tell in how everything is done, how all of us we conduct ourselves in our various. Because the Ghana we see today is one out of every single Ghanaian's small job that they do in their small corner. And once we have that right value set, then together we will build this country, because nobody will build this country for us. We will build this country, but we need that right value set and that right culture to enable us to do the right in whichever small corner we find ourselves, all together in building that mighty nation.
Absolutely, absolutely. I hate to rush you, gentlemen, but it's our time is up.
I'll try and be very quick so we can hear from Kwame as well on this one. It's such a sad story. When I heard it, it reminded me of something. It's a fact that there's really nothing wrong with Ghana. Nothing. We're a wonderful country that has every single resource a man could ever need, humanity could ever need. We have beautifully written laws. We even have some infrastructure and institutions. The only problem with Ghana is Ghanaians. That's the weakest link. And what's wrong with Ghanaians? Well, I mean, physically we're fine. Most of our bits work. We tend to be very handsome, good-looking, well-built, strong people. The only problem with us is our brain. What's wrong with our brain? Well, I mean, if you take any Ghanaian man's brain out, it's probably going to be a very fine specimen with all the synapses snapping properly. The only problem is our mindset, how we value each other. That is the fundamental flaw with our nation, that we assign no value to our fellow man. It is evident in everything we do. The reason why one person can prioritize his own needs over the needs of many is because we don't value human life. Except for the breath that we breathe in and out, we don't understand the value of any other except our own. So that's why, just to get rid of the inconvenience of having to look after somebody's mother who has survived an accident and clearly is traumatized to the point where she can't even speak, just so that I don't have to deal with it, I'll talk to my colleagues and we can possibly conceive the idea of going to throw her into the bush. That's what is wrong with us. Now you think about it. She was brought in, she suffered from an accident, she can't speak. If this country worked, or if our brains worked, what would happen is the doctor would say to himself, first, do no harm. Even if I can't save this woman, I cannot harm her. So I must do whatever I can to at least maintain her in the state that she came to me. Now, she can't talk. Please, I'm not a doctor. But even I know that means it's a mental issue. Right? There's been some psychological trauma. Or she has suffered psychological trauma before the accident. Either way, it requires someone to delve into this mind that can no longer communicate with us and get information. So what do? I bring in the specialists, the experts, the mental health professionals. Did that happen? I've seen a statement from the Ghana Mental Health, whatever, condemning these acts and calling for support so that they can deal with such things. If we had a system that worked, there would be a professional in every hospital. So you bring a case that requires mental health, you bring in the mental health professional. They'll come and sit with this woman, do whatever it takes to decipher information from her, so that her family members who are probably panicking, worrying where she is because she wasn't roaming, she was in a vehicle that she had paid to be in. So she's clearly a person with a purpose going somewhere. She's known by other humans in this country. They are probably going out of their minds wondering where their loved one is. And we have thrown her into the bush. That's what's wrong with us.
Trauma and specialist hospital. Let's never forget. A trauma and specialist, not a general hospital.
We've thrown her into the bush. Look, in any other part of the world. Let me take two opposing examples. In the United Kingdom, healthcare is free. They have national health service. It's free. As long as you are a resident in that country, you have free healthcare. Which means this will never happen to you, because everything you need is already paid for. Okay. We have that here. We call it the National Health Insurance Scheme. We have it here. Healthcare is supposed to be free. This woman, in theory, has already paid for whatever help she needed. She's already paid. Every time she buys something, she pays something on it. Even the lorry fare that she took to have that accident, she paid the National Health Insurance levy on that lorry fare. So she has paid to be taken care of, not to be thrown into the bush. But that's what happened to her, in spite of what this is what she paid for. That's the UK. In the United States, you pay as you go. They have healthcare. You have to subscribe to a healthcare system so that you have insurance. You have to subscribe to private healthcare. Either your employer will pay or you pay yourself. But either way, they have a system that takes care of those who fall through the cracks. If you are brought to a hospital and you don't have insurance, they'll still treat you. And they have all kinds of schemes that you can apply to come and pay your bill. They'll means test you. And if you qualify, you'll pay. Nobody gets left behind, even in the pure capitalist system. So we have no excuse to throw somebody's mother into the bush. It is the height of uncivilization. Yeah, in fact, the fact that we don't value human life, it is a symptom of failure to evolve as a species. It means that the rest of humanity have evolved beyond us, because we still think like we are in the bush. We don't understand the relationship between your value and mine. That by giving you value, I have value. We don't get it. This is only a byproduct of civilization, and we clearly haven't achieved it. It's
shocking. You know what makes this so shocking? All of us travel. All of us travel. Accidents are accidents. God help us. God help us. You are traveling from Accra to Cape Coast, from Accra to Kumasi, from Accra to the Volta region. In fact, from your house to work. God help us. Something untoward happens in the way you are involved in an accident. You can't speak. People fall into coma, because of accidents, and things like that. And you are helpless. One would have thought that once you make your way into a hospital, you are safe. But oh no, you are not. Because chances are that hospital staff, people who by the very essence of what they do, if anybody should value human life, is health professionals, that they can abandon the sick in the bush to die, which is what this was. I mean,
I'm so sorry. Can I just say one sentence? I'm so sorry, Kwame. I promise. Can I just say that if indeed nobody has been arrested in this hospital, then we have a problem, because it doesn't matter whether the story is true or not. What we do know is that this one was admitted to that hospital and she was found dead, wrapped in bed sheets in that bush. I'm sorry, but that is enough for whoever runs that hospital to be arrested and investigated until all the facts of how one of his or her patients ended up in the bush are revealed. I just wanted to say that.
I think there's very little to add at this point, because if you can feel the melancholy with which they have presented, the facts and the analysis and things like that, and if you have looked at the picture, it will break your heart. How she was not just lying in the bush, covered in some bed sheet, with the wheelchair next to her with some sachet of water, just helpless. And Amma, you're talking about how we are unable to take care of, people in times like this and all of that. It's born out of hatred for ourselves as a people. We just hate ourselves to the extent that we want to the point where we want to extend that hatred to a third party. That's how I see it. That there's no love, there's no patriotism. It's just self-seeking interests. People are just, I don't know how to describe us anymore, to be honest. And for me, if you live in a country where the country is unable to take care of you when you are old, there's no point taking care of the country when you are young. Because when you get to in fact, just even put away the fact that you are old and things like that, right? But there must be some form of responsibility owed to you as a citizen of this country. But we're not seeing that. And it's so strange how people are so entitled in their defense, over foolishness and stupidity. I'm sorry, but I mean, you've listened to this. I think there was an attempt to try and defend, or rather, extricate themselves from this particular situation. That it wasn't at the hospital, the person was done by an ambulance. So what? So what? I to be honest with you, I was just debating my mind and trying to find a better way to do this and all, but I can't because I just simply don't know what to say. I just wanted to give people a graphic appreciation of the state in which she was until her demise. It's sad.
It's sad.
It's just terrible. And you see, I mean, look, whether we like it or not, beyond what has happened, there's also the fact that as a country, I think we must begin to look at our hospitals and how we can resource them. To be honest, all of these cheap compounds that were being constructed by JM, all of these other small hospitals that we were building, we should go back and look at them. They are not resourced. They don't have beds. Even in Greater Accra, look at Kolebu. When people are admitted, where do they sleep? Where do they sleep? The only facility that I think meets some standard is the UGMC and then the bank hospitals.
Give them time.
Absolutely. But Kolebu, terrible. So there's a fundamental problem, and I think the abandonment of the woman is not justified, but it's also born out of our inability to accommodate some of these things. And it gets frustrated. The people themselves, I'm not justifying, but people get frustrated, people get tired, people get exhausted because they don't even have the resources at their disposal to be able to deliver their work. And it's problematic. It's like you are willing to do something, but you don't even have the toolkits to deliver. But that does not justify anything anyway. But I'm also saying that it doesn't justify, but I'm also saying that on the flip side, maybe we should begin to have a broader conversation around these things, where that conversation about expanding our cheap compounds, about expanding our small clinics and things like that must be had. We must have that conversation and invest hugely in building hospitals as opposed to supporting one individual to go and buy slate hotels.
Well said. Well said. I was only to add that, very recently, my old man traveled and he came back, telling the story about how one of the countries where he found himself, one of these airports, they had a designated route for people above, a certain age.
Yeah.
There was a designated route for them. They had their own special priority service, sort of like a business or first class, but this one was designated for people above a certain. So regardless whatever tickets you bought, whether you bought a first class ticket or an economic class ticket, just because you're above a certain age, that country had prioritized, other countries, they sit on, buses for free and things like that. In our country, when they are sick, we dump them in the bush. I just want us to think about that. And remember that old age should be dignified. There's some dignity that should come with
That's
old
what
age.
the point I was trying to make.
Right.
But I didn't want to delve into that because it could happen to anybody. That's why I restrained myself from reducing the conversation to age, right? But you are absolutely right that if in your old age your country is unable to take care of you, then there's no business, okay, for you to take care of your country when you are young. There's no business at all. Because right now, we are energetic, we are young, we are enthusiastic, we are endearing, we want to contribute to the development of this country. So we would do all sorts of things. We work tirelessly, okay, in anticipation that when we are old, your nation will take care of you. And that is why it is important that there must be a specific policy that must be directed at these these specifically looking at how we can take care of the aged, okay, how we can build for them, recreational homes. Just, it's very easy to do. People are bored, they are home, and so it's a conversation that we must have later. But I agree with you completely when you say that we must begin to have such conversations about ensuring that we develop policies which will specifically address teething challenges confronting old people in this country.
And also the vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Which involves all of us. You don't know where you've been involved in our lives. And thank you so much, gentlemen. Always a pleasure. It's unfortunate we are ending on a very sad note. This story is my story of the year, I have to say. It's so shocking. It's like, when did we become this? It's a shocking story, very shocking.
Lawyer wants to cry.
Very, very shocking
but
story.
It's emotional.
If you put your country into the hands of
very shocking
people who have been trusted by family aspirations.
Okay, right. Thank you for watching. This has been our show. Just to say thank you again to you, Yasmin, for our books. Thank you to all of you who watch the show, all of you who continue to support this show, through contributing on Facebook, joining the conversation, all the amazing people I met, at the demonstration who said, "Oh, I watch your show." Appreciate it. We really do appreciate it. Keep watching and keep supporting. Our aim is to please. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.